So here's the thing. Everyone loves John Carpenter's The Thing. So much so that they made a remake of it in 2011. I haven't seen that one. That's not what this video's about. The Thing is a remake of the 1951 B-movie The Thing from Another World. And I've always heard it described as some B-movie that inspired a classic. I've even heard people describe the Carpenter version as an example of how sometimes remaking a bad movie can actually be a good idea. And for the longest time, I just took these statements to heart and never watched the original. But then I learned that the original was considered a classic. John Carpenter himself was a huge fan of the original.
I first became aware of a movie called The Thing when I saw the original film. It was 1952. I would have been about 4 or 5 years old. I think I saw it in a re-release. It was one of those films where as you watched it, it was so frightening that my popcorn flew out of my hands.
And he was actually reluctant to make the movie because he thought it would pale in comparison to the original.
Well, this was an assignment. This was my first studio feature.
Okay.
It was offered to me.
Right.
And I thought, I can't turn this down. But I was not anxious to remake this movie.
So is it really just some cruddy B-movie that is better left forgotten, or is it a classic lost to time? And because it's the conceit of the show, which is better? You probably know which one's gonna win, but both of these are based on the novella Who Goes There by Joseph Campbell, which I haven't read. I should have read it, but I haven't. So I won't be analyzing too many of the changes from novella to screen. I'm gonna be looking at the movies as their own thing. Though from what I do know, The Thing from Another World is basically nothing like the story. I guess I should explain if you're somehow unaware. The Thing and Who Goes There are about an alien that can change form. The Carpenter version, and from what I understand, the novella, are more mystery stories than monster stories. The alien doesn't shapeshift at all in this film, which is just a really bad change. And removing that removes all the paranoia and tension that's inherent to the story and just kind of makes it a monster movie. It removes a huge aspect of why the story works so well. But like I said, I'm going to try and look at this as its own movie because I do have some positives to say. First things first, the dialogue here is amazing. It's still got that very theatrical delivery that most old movies do, but what makes it special is that people talk over each other.
Where do you two think you're going?
We're with you. We want to tell her that was an awful way to treat our
Of course,
captain.
if you don't want us to go,
Why,
we
then
don't
we
have
won't
to
go.
go. I'm going to get even with you two
not.
guys someday.
We got a pigeon.
It's rare for movies to have overlapping dialogue even nowadays, since it's kind of hard to edit around, and it would have been even harder to cut around in the days before digital editing software. And above all that, it just really works for the story. It makes the characters feel real.
I'm sorry, Pat. I
At least
really
6
didn't
people
mean...
read that note before I woke up. Now the whole Air Force is laughing at me.
Not so loud. They'll hear
They
you.
probably already heard. The only place it hasn't been is on a billboard.
I really like this one moment in this conversation that happens early in the film that works so well because there's not a dramatic pause to let the other one talk.
Look, my only excuse is that I liked you. Right away. So I started wrong. Can't we begin all over?
How would you begin?
It makes it so much more cutting and pointed, and it makes the characters fun to watch. They all have their distinct personalities and you get to see them clash. For example, this reporter guy, the entire movie, all he cares about is getting a good story. He's a really fun character to hate.
What a story! Where's that Hey, Barnes!
Hold it, Scott. Sorry, no private messages.
What do you mean private? I'm gonna send it to the whole world.
Honestly, both movies have a very dry sense of humor, and it really works.
Shit, Doc, I'll give you the lift. No problem.
Forget it, Palmer.
Hey, thanks for thinking about it, though.
And I like the science fiction concepts they do explore. The conversation where they speculate on the evolutionary origins of the monster is great.
Just as though you're describing some form of super carrot.
That's nearly right, Mr. Scott.
Look,
On the
Doctor,
planet from which our visitor came, vegetable life underwent an evolution similar to that of our own animal life, which would account for the superiority of its brain.
Dr. Carrington.
Its development was not handicapped by emotional or sexual factors.
An intellectual carrot. The mind boggles.
Shouldn't.
And you can't talk about the dialogue in this movie without mentioning the famous final line.
I bring you a warning. Every one of you listening to my voice, tell the world, watch the skies, everywhere. Keep looking. Keep watching the sky.
It's a good line. There, I mentioned it.
No, for real, the final line plays into that unease and ambiguity that another alien might invade. It's honestly one of the biggest points of similarities between both versions. Despite how different the two endings are, they share that ambiguity and paranoia if the threat has been truly defeated.
So what about the dialogue in Carpenter's version? It's good. I know that might seem like an insult after I praised the dialogue in the original so much, but it works. The dialogue here is very to the point. There are no flowery, verbose monologues. It's very grounded. The big action hero quip isn't like an Arnie pun or anything like that. It's just a simple, "Yeah, fuck you too!" It's nothing fancy, but that's exactly why it works. It grounds the story in reality. It makes these characters feel real. Don't get me wrong though, there are quotable, funny lines in the Carpenter version. Cheating bitch. But it does make comparing the dialogue in both movies very difficult. They're really apples and oranges comparing them. But writing isn't just about dialogue, so let's move on to something else. I want to talk about something I really like in both versions: how smart the characters are. In both films, you get the sense that these are professionals and they are approaching this situation in a very level-headed way. Well, as level-headed as you can be in a scenario, which makes the situation scarier. When even the smartest course of action fails, what's left? Both films are slow burns, taking their time so that when shit finally hits the fan, it's more effective.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
So which one's better? To put it simply, it all comes down to the Thing not being a shapeshifter in the original. Got very blue. It's such a huge aspect of why the Carpenter version works so well. The way it eases us in with this captivating mystery involving the Swedish outpost.
My God, what the hell happened here? Come on, Doc.
So even though it's a slow burn, like I said, it's engaging from the start. And just the way it subtly establishes that one of the crew is a Thing is perfectly done.
No, one of you disrespectful men been tossing his dirty drawers in the kitchen trash can. Huh? But now I want my kitchen clean, all right? Germ-free.
In the original, the only real mystery is what the alien is, which isn't as interesting. Like I said, it's good as its own thing. Thematically, the movie is about the dangers of science going too far.
You're robbing science of the greatest secret that's ever come to it.
Better go back, Doctor.
Knowledge is more important than life, Captain. Doesn't matter what happens to us. Nothing counts except our thinking. We've thought our way into nature.
I wonder what historical event could have inspired
We
that.
split the atom.
Yes, and that sure made the world happy, didn't it?
Oh, but in comparison to the remake, the whole point of this video, I just don't see how that change is anything but lesser. The best dialogue in the Carpenter version are just exploring this concept.
I know I'm human. And if you were all these things, then you'd just attack me right now. So some of you are still human. This thing doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation. It'll fight if it has to. But it's vulnerable out in the open. If it takes us over, then it has no more enemies. Nobody left to kill it. And then it's won.
The remake wins. The Carpenter version wins. The remake has some of the best practical effects put to screen. I know that's not wholly on the director, but the way these effects are shot and edited adds so much to them. Take the first real jump scare of the movie.
Clear!
Clear.
The scares are so effective because they always happen on kind of an offbeat.
We'll do you last.
Also, both scares are preceded by hints of tension that point you in another direction. In the defibrillator scare, it's Clark palming a scalpel, leaving you thinking, oh no, he's gonna kill MacReady, and then... Or in the blood test scare, MacReady puts the suspicion on Gary just before he tests Palmer.
I thought you'd feel that way, Gary. You were the only one that could have got to that blood. will do you last.
It's a real masterclass in building tension. But okay, I will give the original a chance. Like I said, overlapping dialogue is an accomplishment, not just in writing, but also in execution. It's impressive having this many long takes where the actors have to interrupt each other and get the timing right. And again, it adds to the realism. I will say though, a lot of the shots kind of bore me. They just kind of place the camera so everyone's in frame and not moving it, and occasionally cutting. It doesn't feel particularly motivated.
Erect temporary structure to protect aircraft until my arrival. And here's another one, came a few minutes ago.
This was probably because of the overlapping dialogue to make it easier to edit, but I just wish the camera was used more creatively to communicate the story. And that said, sometimes the simplistic direction actually works to the movie's favor. Like when they decide to try and kill Carrot Boy, and they're just waiting for him to arrive, just conversating, pacing around, waiting in one unbroken shot.
What if he can read our minds?
He's gonna be real mad when he gets to me.
1.4. Keep moving around, you guys. Keep it quiet. I remember the first execution I ever covered. Did you get a picture of that, Scotty? No, they didn't allow cameras, but one
1.6, going up fast.
It's more real. In a moment like this in real life, there probably would be people talking over each other and moving quickly.
But just in general, I wish there were more shots that I felt added to the story, which the Carpenter version is filled with. So many shots are perfectly crafted to increase that feeling of unease. The shot of Clark palming the scalpel is great. It's got that perfect composition. Or this iconic silhouette of the Thing in a form of a dog attacking someone, we can't make out exactly who. And speaking of, credit to this dog for being so creepy. The way he just calmly sits down perfectly, you know something's wrong immediately. The sound effects in the dog kennel scene are so nasty too. I don't know whose bones they snapped to get these sound effects, but it was a worthy sacrifice. I also love how much of the Carpenter version is filmed in actual cold. It just makes it feel more tangible and real. And alright, I was talking about the original version. I guess I should get back to that. The flat directing in the original actually helps the comedy beats. I laughed out loud in this one moment, and it's purely due to the performances and the fact that they don't cut away from it.
That thing's alive, sir. I saw it. I shot at it. I hit it. I know it. Nothing happened. It just...
And the performances are so over the top that they're really funny too.
Did you picture, Scotty? No, you were in the way. And the door wasn't open long enough. Want me to open it again? No. Yeah, the Carpenter version wins. I feel like I could just keep going on and on about things I love about the remake. There's just so much to appreciate. Like, I forgot to mention in the blood test scene where Palmer doesn't have an eye light. It's basically a light that only reflects on someone's eye, and Palmer doesn't have one. Because he's the Thing, he's not a person, he's not alive. That's like one of the most famous bits of trivia about the movie, and I forgot to mention it while going on about how much I love it. The Carpenter version wins. The Thing from Another World has a great mood. The movie uses a theremin for its score, and it's very dated but very effective. Effectively creepy. It really takes its time setting up the situation and all the characters and just how isolated they are. And the scenes with the monster are really well done. I love the fire stunt. The whole conceit of having this device that tells them how close the monster is and you just have to wait for the monster to get there is great.
1.3 now.
You know how to shoot that thing, don't you? I saw Gary Cooper and Sergeant York.
1.4.
1.5, 1.6, 7.
What was that?
Sounds like a window. 1.8.
Turn off those lights.
1.9. The needles hit the top.
The jump scare where the monster is right in the doorway is also great.
Ready about it? No, but go ahead and open it.
But the Carpenter version also evokes a lot of these feelings and does it better. The Thing evokes such a palpable sense of paranoia. The concept is so perfect, never allowing you any confidence in who to trust. What scares me more than anything is the unknown. And this movie nails that uncomfortable uncertainty. Everyone's a suspect, everyone's on edge, and there's no way to clear anyone. It's terrifying. The remake is a part of John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy. It's not really a trilogy, but they share nothing in common on a story level. But what they do share is inescapable dread. The Apocalypse trilogy is a fitting name for them all. It doesn't just feel like, oh no, the world is ending, like most movies do, where it's just a way to raise the stakes for the final act. These movies are so oppressive and bleak that it really does feel like the world is ending. It really do be feeling that way. And they all feature some of the most viscerally upsetting images put to film. The Thing having the scene where Bennings lets out that horrible scream. But it's in the small stuff too. One of my favorite moments in the entire film is when Kurt Russell is recording a voice note and he just goes,
Nobody trusts anybody now. We're all very tired.
It says so much with such little dialogue. And this is what I mean by the bluntness helping the story. He's fucking tired. He doesn't have the energy to come up with a more clever way of saying that he's tired. He's just fucking tired, so he's just gonna say he's fucking tired. This paranoia has completely exhausted everyone. And I haven't even mentioned the ending, which is perfect. So MacReady destroys the Thing. Or did he? When it's revealed that Childs actually survived the explosion. And neither one can trust each other, and they're just left to accept this uncertainty.
If we've got any surprises for each other, I don't think we're in much shape to do anything about it.
What do we do?
Why don't we just wait here for a little while? See what happens.
It's one of the best endings in movie history, just perfect in every respect. Critics at the time dismissed the movie for being nothing but gore and shock, but this is what the movie's about, paranoia. And this ending perfectly reinforces that, not giving you some closure that makes you nice and satisfied, because the movie wants you to leave the theater uneasy. Both these characters are probably going to die never knowing if the other one is the Thing. So why would we get to know? The Thing wins easily. It's one of the most uncomfortable movies ever made. But it's also really fun. So the Carpenter version wins in a clean sweep like most everyone thought it would. So why did I make this video? Well, to put it simply, I'm still glad I watched the original. Honestly, the two movies are so different that it may as well not even be a remake. It brings its own take to the material. It also gave me a lot of appreciation for all the little references that Carpenter included, like the fire stunt paying homage to the fire stunt in the original, which I believe was one of the first fire stunts put to film. Don't quote me on that though. Or how the Swedish bass finds the Thing in a block of ice just like the original.
What's that?
It looks like something buried under the ice.
We're going to try to melt it out with thermite bombs.
Oh, excellent. And look at that, they're planning thermite charges.
So even though the original Thing wasn't as good, I'm still glad I watched it. I feel like people try to render certain movies obsolete, and I don't get why. I don't like rendering movies as obsolete. I know this kind of goes against the whole conceit of the show, which is better, but I don't think film should be limited to only what the best version of an idea is. Like a 7 out of 10 version of an idea isn't some affront to cinema or something that you should never watch. And it's not like it tarnishes the reputation of the Carpenter version. It's doing fine. It's not that horrible to have two movies about the same thing, even if one isn't as good as the other one. And like I said, they're kind of not about the same thing. I agree that the Carpenter version is superior in a lot of ways, but that doesn't mean the original isn't a worthwhile experience. And also, I really want wanted to talk about the Carpenter version. It is one of my favorite films of all time. It's really good. There's so much to like about it. It's really fucking good. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button too, and follow the link to the sponsor of this video, my ass.